Hi, my name is June B. Wilde. I play Helen in Blood, and you are watching Pop Culture with Pat.
Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture at Pat. So I am so excited today to be joined by today's guest. Today I am talking to June B. Wilde, who stars in the new horror film Blood, which is currently in theaters. It's also streaming right now. So excited to have you on the channel today. Thank you for joining me, June.
Oh, you are so welcome. It's so exciting to be here, Pat. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, no, of course. And yeah, I recently got to check out the film. I saw the trailer for this a little while back. It was one that I definitely had my eye on, so was excited to check it out. And in the movie, you play a character by the name of Helen. So just to start things off, can you just talk about what was it about this character, this project or this film that attracted you to the project in the first place?
Okay. Well, first of all, when I got the material, I was really drawn to it because it really truly was a script about it had some depth, like it had high stakes, and it was about a flawed family fighting for to keep their son alive. Like that's pretty much what it was for me. Um, you know, and Helen is just a great character to dive into, especially after COVID. We were in lockdown, and then I went right into this project, so it was great. I was ready to act. Let's just say that.
Yeah, no, I'm sure. And I mentioned so yeah, you play Helen. You're one of Jess's patients in the film, played by Michelle Monaghan. You have some great scenes between your two characters in the film. What was it just like working with Michelle on this project overall? And I guess I mean, you had a great cast and director too, so just everybody on the project.
Wow. Okay. That is such a great question. And I have so much to say, but I'll try to keep it as concise as I can. Um, Michelle Monaghan, like I've, obviously been in the industry for over 30 years, and I've worked with maybe a handful of real true actors, like real stars, you know, and it was a challenging role. It was extraordinarily challenging, both mentally and physically. And Michelle had my back the whole way. We just worked. We were working like a team. There was there. We were working to get something done, and she's an incredible actress. I mean, so it was just a treat to work with her. But you're right. I mean, Brad Anderson is incredible. I think you can see in some of the stills or some things that I'm seeing, he just sat right down in the dirt. Like he's that guy, right? He's just right in laser vision. And then he has Bjorn Charpentier, who is his the DOP, the cinematographer. They've worked together, so they have a language. Like they don't even need to say anything, they just know, this shot, okay. And of course, when I was watching it, Pat, I'm watching for those. I go, oh, wow, look at that. Look what Bjorn did, you know.
Yeah, it's
So
always
yeah,
nice to have that relationship, with someone where it's like you don't even have to say something and the other person just knows exactly, what they want from the other person or what they, want to do next.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, even like the kids too. I thought that, they were great like in the film. So it was just like, I mean, overall, it was a great, movie. It's one of my favorites of the year so far.
Wow,
And I love
wow.
that, so I love horror movies, but I mean I'm just like a big movie fan in general. But I love that this movie, like you kind of mentioned it, that it definitely has the genre elements in there. It has the horror aspects in there, but it's also a family drama. It kind of dabbles into a couple different genres. You almost can't really classify it under one particular thing, and I think that's what really caught my eye like watching it as well.
Yeah. I mean, yes, absolutely. And I as an actress, that's what I was drawn to as well. I'm a big sucker, if you will, for a good love story. Like, I'm just, I'm kind of like that person, right? So yeah, I'm with you on that. I was drawn in right away, right from the get-go. I was like, yes, let's do this.
And so it does have the, the horror aspects in it, of course. This isn't your first time, that you've done something in the horror genre. So what is it about the horror genre that keeps you coming back to it?
I keep getting cast. No, just um, I think that's a really great question to ask an actor, and I think it's really important for actors to know where they fit. Like some people are really great at doing like Hallmark.
Yeah.
I know some of my friends and colleagues and fellow actors that that's their thing and they're good at it. But I think what it is about me is I don't occur like straight on. Like there's always an edge. Like I'll always get those roles with that twisty kind of Charmed or The Exorcist or something that's just got a little hint of, where is this going? And those parts I find extremely fun to do.
Well,
Really fun.
I think with the horror genre too, and like a while back, it was a genre that didn't necessarily, I think, always get the respect that it does necessarily now. But I think one of the cool things about the horror genre is that you're able to tell so many different kinds of stories and just elicit so many different kinds of emotions out of the audience that you might not necessarily be able to do in some of these other genres. So you can take something, like you said, or we talked about this movie, it's a family drama, but then you add that horror element to it, and suddenly it's like, okay, this is just like a completely different thing. What aspect, I guess, about the film did you connect with the most? Like, was it the family drama elements? Was it the horror elements that were in there? What was the part that you connected to the film with?
Um, that's that's a great question. I love playing characters. I love playing strong characters. I think Helen is a strong character.
Yeah.
She's not weak. And I love playing full out. That's my thing. I at some point, I don't want to spoil anything. So I have to be very careful about what I say here. So I don't
Well,
want to
actually,
spoil it for.
if you want, because at one point I am going to say there will be some questions that will delve into spoilers. So if you want to say something right now, you can go ahead. Like, just a heads up, guys, there will be some spoilers in this interview. So if you wanted to, make sure you check the film out. But yeah, if you want to, you're good to go.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, there's so many parts where, Helen is restricted physically as well. And I was never afraid to to um to say to them, no, don't loosen the restraints. Don't do that. Let me fight for real. And I think that is such a trip for me, and I really believe that that's because I come from the theater. Like I was born into the theater from when I was 8. So I I really like to challenge myself with that kind of physicality and through the physicality the emotional life is born, and that's exciting for me. Is
Yeah,
then I yeah.
and I mean, yeah, you have some pretty intense scenes in the film. Whether it's with Michelle as the character Jess, where you are restrained, you're tied up, and then a little bit later on in the film where, again, spoilers, guys, but your character, unfortunately meets her, demise. What was it like working, or what was it like filming those, specific scenes? How do you, as an actor, how do you like prepare yourself to film those type of scenes that require a little bit more of you, whether it's physically, whether it's mentally? Do you do anything special to kind of prepare for those scenes?
I do. I do. I just plug into what I'm plugged into. I literally, for me it's music, but and I'm not people can talk to me and say whatever they want, but until we say action, I'm pretty much like in the zone. I feel a little bit like an athlete. And I am a runner, and I think that. And I've competed as a runner, and you know, I I know what it feels like to stay in the zone. A little bit like a basketball player, a little bit like anybody in professional sports. I stayed in the zone until we were there. And that's how I got myself there. Yeah.
And I found the relationship between Helen and Jess's character really fascinating because when or early on after Helen gets the news of her condition and what's kind of going on, she's like, she is kind of giving up a little bit, but Jess, talks to her and says like, hey, no, like, you really should live out the rest of your life. But then once, what happens with Owen, Jess kind of comes back around and then she wants to use Helen to save her son. So I just thought that whole relationship and that made that, once we get to that point in the film, just even more terrifying, where it's like you were just telling this lady to live her life and everything, and now you captured her, you brought her back to your house. I thought that like relationship between your guys' two characters was just so interesting.
That's great. I'm glad that you did. And yeah, I mean, isn't that just so amazing? What great writing. I mean, she, has given up hope, and then she gives her hope, and now what? So many dynamics. Yeah, yeah. So many dynamics and so many ways to get your objective met too. Like I loved playing with her. I really did love playing with Michelle. There was a lot of space for that.
And I
Yeah.
love how this film, one of the questions that it kind of asks, I think, is in trying to protect her son from becoming a monster, does Jess become a monster herself by the end of the film? There's a lot of questions, regarding morality and stuff like that. But again, great job with the writing, because if the writing wasn't there with these characters, that character could have very easily been like, I don't connect with this person anymore. But even though she was doing some horrible things, obviously, to you and just like other different animals and stuff like that in the film, you could still connect with the character, because it's like you put yourself in that situation. I don't have kids, but if as a parent, how far would you go to protect your child, like if there was a situation like that? So a lot of definitely a film that makes you think about a lot of these different things.
Absolutely, 100%. And I'm not a parent either. So, but I, for some reason, on some level, I really relate to the role of a mom. Like I don't know what I would do. I don't know. Right. And yeah, that's what makes it really, really hard to stop watching that film. I'll tell you, it's kind of interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
Now, so question for you, and it's kind of hypothetical because we never really truly find out in the film, but what do you think was lying inside of that tree?
Ooh.
Because we never really see, like, I think at one point they show bats going into it or something like at one point, but I know there's a couple shots where it just kind of focuses on the tree. You see like the hole in the tree and there's just darkness in there. Did you ever give any thought of like what could maybe be lying inside there? Or
I watched it and went, I don't know what's
I
in
don't
there. I think it's going to be up to every single person to make their decision on what is in that tray. I don't know. I would just be making stuff up right now. I would.
Yeah, no, I was curious because it's like, yeah, they never really straight out, which in a way I kind of like that. Sometimes films will be like, oh, no, they just come straight out and say, this is what's going on. pretty easy, simple to follow. But I like when films sometimes leave it a little ambiguous and let the audience, come to their own conclusion. And I think I actually didn't see it right away. And it's like, I should know by now because I watch a lot of Marvel films. I should know to stay till the end of the credits. I didn't realize initially that there was like a post-credit scene with the film.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
actually saw it somewhere else. So I was like, oh crap, I got to go back and watch the couple minutes there. And they kind of set up a possibility of a part two. So
Yes, they do. They certainly do.
fingers crossed, maybe we
Yeah.
get to see another one. And yeah, something that I really appreciate about Blood as well is that, at least how I took it, it's a vampire movie. It's definitely, it has a nice twist though on the genre. And that's one thing, because I mean, vampire movies have been around for decades now. There's been all kinds of
Mhm.
different, vampires, but it's always nice. You see all these, but when you see a new film and they're able to come at it from a new angle, with a different type of twist and make it feel fresh. So I thought that the way that they did that, and they kind of tied it into, we see like Jess's character dealing with like addiction and tying it into that. I thought that was fascinating as well.
Absolutely, 100%. And again, kudos to the writer, but also really kudos to Brad. I mean, I really, Pat, I really believe that this in somebody else's hands may not have really hit the mark, but he's such a craftsman. Him and Bjorn are such craftspeople. They just they just get it, and they're so talented. So again, like kudos to those people, because without them, I just, yeah, it could have derailed. Perhaps, I'm not sure, but anyway, thank God.
Yeah, no, no. I mean, definitely, you definitely have to have the right director, right writers for a project, because it can go wrong in so many ways. So
Yeah,
I agree
yeah.
on that for sure. Do you have like from working on the project, do you have like a favorite, memory, whether it was just like filming a specific scene or maybe interacting with the cast, like in between shooting? Was there anything that kind of stick or comes to your mind from working on it?
That I love this question because there's so many memories. I mean, I could be here for 5 hours, but I mean, of course, right? Every single day was so fantastic. I have to say also a big shout out to the crews in Winnipeg. Those people are tight, and there is not a big industry there, so they work together a lot. So there really, really was a synergy there. I mean, everybody was working together. There wasn't somebody that was off, blah blah blah, checking their phone. People were working, and they were working really hard. So there is that. I mean, the other thing is my drivers. For some reason, I had the best drivers in the world. And,
That's
like,
always
because some of
nice.
this, yeah, right. And some of the days, like, I mean, they pick me up at like 4:30 or something in the morning. And I knew that was the day. That was going to be the day where I really had to just dig in. And I just mentioned to them, this is a big day. And they go, yep, got it. And they just held the space for me to, get to set and just stay in the work. And then other days we just laughed so hard. So,
And I think that's important for, for a film like this, where, it gets pretty heavy in some of the material. So it's good that
yeah.
you guys were able to kind of to laugh and joke in between, shooting stuff.
Yeah, I don't know what it was about Mike and I, but I have to say, I don't know. But sometimes you just have that that synergy. And there were days where we were laughing. People didn't understand what was going on, but it was between Mike and I, right?
Yep.
So
Yeah, you got
yeah,
those inside jokes.
yeah.
And I guess like overall, June, like, just like when people are, watching this film for the first time, what are you really hoping that, fans are, taking away from this film once they're done with it?
I'm hoping that they, look, the fans are horror fans. Yes. So I really, really hope that the fans take away it's there's lots of suspense, there's lots of thrills, and there's a lot of blood. So
Oh yeah.
let's be clear. Yes. And
Yep.
then at the end of the day, I'm also hoping fans like yourself, Pat, will love the fact that, while it's a horror movie, it's still about love and family and what a mother will do to save her child, you
Yep.
know?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
and I think oftentimes too with horror, what makes you could have all kinds of scares, you could have all kinds of blood, guts, and gore and stuff in them and everything. But I think what oftentimes make a good horror film is when you have to have those interesting characters, the storyline, because if you're not invested in the characters or what's really going on, it's like, yeah, you might have like a fun time, but it won't necessarily make for a memorable experience. So I think the best horror films for me are when you can really latch onto those characters, because then you kind of put yourself in their shoes, and then you're terrified for what's going on, what's happening to them in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, where the stakes are really, really high and they're really real. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because without that, it wouldn't work either. Right.
Yeah,
So, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
exactly. Well, hey June, is to wrap things up, is there anything else that you would like to say to the fans? I don't know if you have any projects, other projects that are coming out for you that you're able to speak about, if you want to, mention those as well.
Well, I just want to say to my fans, uh, you know, uh, uh, a big hello, and I adore you. And my team and I are reading a lot of scripts right now. There's not, obviously, you're right. I can't really say anything about those, or but the one thing that I am doing is it took me 3.5 years to write a screenplay, and I do have a director, and I'm producers, so I'm looking to do that movie, and that would probably fit into this sort of genre too, because it's a pretty heavy movie, and so yeah, I'm just kind of focusing in on that as well. So yeah.
Okay, great, exciting. Well, it's very exciting. I know. Do you have like is there anywhere that fans can follow, just to keep up with any announcements or follow your work, like social media or anything like that?
Is June_B__Wilde, Wilde. That should take you to everything, because my website is posted there, and everything else. So
Perfect.
yeah. So yeah.
Well, I will make sure I will make sure to put those down in the description, so that way you can give June a follow. You can, follow her website for all her future updates, future projects that are coming out. And again, thank you so much, June, for taking time out of your schedule to come on here and talk about the movie. Again, I loved it. If you guys haven't seen it, make sure to check it out. I know it has a limited theatrical release, but it is also streaming on video on demand now. So make sure to go check it out. It is one of my favorite movies so far this year.
Hi, my name is June B. Wilde. I play Helen in Blood, and you are watching Pop Culture with Pat.